Hello, Justin. I'm Paul. I just finished watching your final informative speech about turbochargers. So, to begin, as I've done with every other speech so far, I would like to talk about your organization, as that's the most heavily enforced part of the rubric, as per Dr. Boner Saylor's rubric for the replies. So, with that, I thought you had good organization. So, your body paragraphs basically were the parts of a turbocharger, how air moves through, as well as boost pressure, so those concepts. And then you ended on the different designs of turbochargers and their effects on the vehicle. So the breakdown for that makes sense. You start off with what it is, then you talk about like kind of what they do, and then how they change, or the different kinds. So I think that was a very good organizational strategy for you. Um, you also, unlike some speeches, which struggle this more, you did a very good job of reiterating your points. Firstly, in your introduction, where you gave the preview to your three bodies. In each body, you introduced your main point, and then in the conclusion, you once again discussed your 3 points, your original roadmap. So that made it easy for me. Thank you. So 3 flaws or areas for improvement of the speech I found were, firstly, there were certain times you'd rock back and forth. I can't really recreate it, and I don't know if I should, but there were times where you'd rock back and forth an awful lot, like very rapidly, almost like violently. Being a little dramatic, but you understand the point I'm trying to convey. So be careful with that. And like I said, there's only at certain moments, particularly when you're moving back and forth from the screen, that you would do this. You start walking back and forth a lot. So just try to be mindful of that on your next speech. Next, I actually just made the same mistake myself. So when you're doing a speech, make sure you're not holding the note card with 2 hands the whole time. Like I said, I just do that. I try to avoid it as well because it is a habit that I think affects most speakers, I would feel, or at least a lot of speakers. It's a very difficult one to overcome if you do have it, because it's very easy to adopt, because you feel comfortable holding with 2 hands. It feels stable, but then you can't use your hands, and then you can't use your hands, your physical language to convey a point, and that's not good. Now, the last thing I want to mention was your voice throughout the speech. It was kind of robotic. So what I mean by that was it was kind of like you didn't sound like you had any interest in it. And given you're doing something which is quite niche, like turbochargers, I can imagine that you probably had some prior knowledge about this, and probably, again, these are assumptions, but I assume you have quite an investment in the topic, which is why I don't understand why, just throwing a little pizzazz in there. But again, we all have our issues. I'm not trying to bring you down with that. I'm just saying, I think that if you just sound more interested, that would have really brought your speech up, because mostly everything else was great regarding just the way you talked, your control with your voice, regarding pronouncing things. That was all good. And one thing I enjoyed about your speech, so one thing I found I liked was your use of the diagrams, and those really helped simplify those models. They really helped simplify your speech for me, because I really don't know anything about turbochargers, so I appreciate that. Okay, and for Dr. Boner Saylor, I realized before I hadn't shown my note cards, so I basically just took notes on all 5 of the replies, and you can see them all right here. They are in sentence form, and I know you might dock me for that, but I will say I only stayed with this because I had already written all these notes down and already knew what I was looking for. And as you say, practice with the note cards you'll use, and that's kind of what I applied for this. I also try not to look too much at my notes, so hopefully you won't dock me for using sentences on these notes, which helped me, my aid. But I just wanted to show this because I realized I hadn't in any of the other videos yet, but I am using the same. I said paper, and so hopefully showing it once will do it justice. I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. Thank you.